And Sabrina, which at first I thought would be the very last episode of this retrospective, and that ended up not being the case. I'm here with Dave and Morgan and Jared once again.
Hello. I was excited about this episode just because Sabrina the Teenage Witch was one of those TV shows I liked a lot when I was a kid.
It was a good one. It holds up a lot better than a lot of other similar shows from the era.
I feel like out of the ones you watched, this, Roseanne, and Boy Meets World are the ones that hold up.
It had some pretty good writers on the staff. I know Frank Conniff wrote for it for a while.
Frank Conniff wrote for it the season they did the Disneyworld episode. He didn't write that episode, but I know he was in the room, so he probably pitched a couple of jokes that made it in. So this is me riffing on a riffer, I guess, when you think about it that way. And you know, of all the episodes that did this in the 90s, this was the one that had the least overt, Disney Animal Kingdom. Well, obviously it was the only one that plugged Animal Kingdom because it was a direct promotion for it. But it had kind of the least obnoxious, big swooping shots of the park and shit, because it just had too much.
All they have are big swooping shots at that point.
Because it was only 22 minutes long, and they had a lot of ground of story to cover in that time. And I love Magic because fuck you, because that's me taking it one step further from its Magic, bitch.
Now, these are the lockers outside Animal Kingdom, or at the entrance to Animal Kingdom.
If I can nitpick, Magic because fuck you also use the NRA because fuck you.
Well, that was a call.
Yeah, it's deliberate.
Yeah, exactly.
It works.
Guns are a sort of magic to people.
Yeah.
Because you point it at it's a wand. You point it at someone and they do what you want. So anyway,
Yes.
the first shot.
The first shot in Florida.
The first shot in Florida.
Moments after we met in person for the first time.
Yeah, we went to Hogwarts and got that shot.
We met at the entrance of Islands of Adventure, walked over there, got the shot, and my life
I wanted to
was
hover
the same.
over there, but I was overruled. So. And all this Martin Mull stuff. I regret that I call him Principal Mustard twice in this episode. I wish I'd thought of something better. But yeah, Martin Mull, one of the best comedians of all time, and by the 90s was reduced to just doing these, clueless principal roles in this stuff.
Well,
Probably
he joined that ABC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also in Roseanne, so it's... Although in Roseanne, it's established in the clips I used in the episode that Full House is a show within it, so I guess Roseanne is one level up from the Tommy Westphall stuff.
Yeah, Roseanne exists outside of the rest of the TGIF-verse.
I'm not 100% convinced he's not playing the same character in every...
He might be.
In every show he shows up in.
He's still Gene Parmesan on Arrested Development in every show.
And here's Casey. Jared, I know you can speak to this.
She has definitely improved since this, and regrets A, not having a good camera quality for this, and B, kind of stammering a bit with it.
Yeah, she literally, she didn't give me a take where she said apparate correctly, so I had to cut to myself, ranting about how she wasn't saying apparate correctly when I shot my half. And
just in case anyone forgets that you're a Harry Potter,
absolutely.
Harry Potter head.
I ended up shooting both halves, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And when Casey did this, she was extremely camera shy, and it took her a really long time to get it to a point where I was satisfied with it. And I feel bad for putting her through as much as I put her through, but and she actually wanted to be in this episode.
She's happy to do it.
Yeah, she was, and this kind of frightened her though, all this lightning and stuff. But she specifically pitched, "What if I show up and defend all this stuff?" Because she was a Sabrina fan and all that. So I said, "All right."
To complete this critical test, you fail it. You won't get your witch.
Yeah, Sabrina. What else can we say about this?
They're talking about exposition right now.
Yeah. Oh, and this is true. Animal Kingdom only had 4 rides when it opened. It had a couple other attractions, that were just sit down and they didn't move. But yeah, only 4 rides, and only 2 of them were interesting and have survived. Well, 3 of them have survived to this day, but only 2 of them were interesting.
Well, now they have Everest and then just the other stuff.
So relatively...
They didn't even have Kali River Rapids yet. That didn't open until a year later.
I forgot how bad that cat animatronic was.
Yeah, it was the best they could...
voice is really good.
And of course, you gotta have a tiger in the background at least once.
Yes.
And the
of course, that's how you know you're a real man.
And this Enchanted Tiki Room stuff... Garrett did the French voice in this, and Jerry Nava, aka the Film Renegado, did the Spanish voice of the birds.
I didn't know that.
Hagen doing an Irish one.
Oh, what?
You were pitching Hagen doing an Irish one.
That's right. I guess she couldn't do it for some reason. I don't know why, but and I did the German one, and all this stuff about the caveman. This was the only thing I thought of by the time I got to Florida, and when I got back, I realized, no, we need to do more with this. It's like it's crazy that they literally bring a man back from the dead.
Phineas's mom, I know what we're going to do today. Resurrect the caveman.
And so after the fact, while I was editing this, really, it was kind of an 11th hour edition. I had the idea to do this bit with Morgan as both Sabrina and her aunt, which is coming up, which is one of my favorite bits I've ever done, in part because I am not in it. and I'm not around to muck up the works.
I think that it's also, I think it's a really great bit, but I also know that I'm not terribly unbiased.
Well,
but you're great in this bit. You're fantastic.
This was shot at your house in Riverside, and
that velvet coat came from my aunt, and that's my Diamanda Hagen wig from the Halloween sketch, and that's also from the Hagen costume. And
the Violent Femmes reference is, of course, a reference to a real episode of Sabrina where they all went to a Violent Femmes concert, and it was great. Oh my God, it's the Violent Femmes! And it came off as extremely phony to real Violent Femmes fans. And it was your idea that you should be playing "Rip Out My Urkel Lovin' Heart" because
on Rock Band.
This is how last minute this was. I think that episode had already come out, and I was like, and I love the idea that 200 years in the future, "Rip Out My Urkel Lovin' Heart" has become a standard. It's become like yesterday or something.
Yeah,
I love the idea that the aunt's been sitting on that couch for now 400 years.
Of course.
And you did the makeup on your.
Yeah,
it's Gigi.
Yeah,
Gigi,
your cat, which. Is Gigi still alive?
Yes, Gigi.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. And we could only get one take of you actually shooting the gun with Gigi in your lap because the cat got startled and ran off. And that's why I had to cut away to the cat for continuity and all that.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was my idea that I should be doing something different every time.
That's right, yeah. And, it's a great scene, and thank you. You're excellent in it.
A classic bit.
Yeah.
And this bathroom bit, I didn't think of it until right after, I think my last Disneyland day where I could have shot something for it, so I just said, fuck it, I'll just add it in narration. And I wish I'd sold this joke a bit better of her just, the idea that she's just consulting a random group of girls, but yeah, I you know. Like I said, the Sabrina episode in particular was written on an extremely tight deadline, because I was just about to go to Florida. I only had a very rough first draft finished, which was not everything it could have been, and I tried to make it everything I could have been, but the few decisions I did make up to that point, I don't think were entirely good ones. There was a line earlier about, it's like going to London and not letting you eat the president.
I like that.
Like that, well, yeah.
Your delivery makes that joke work.
It's not a terrible joke, but it's the kind of joke you would only think of if you're on a deadline like that.
Yeah.
And this is me in the Adventureland gift shop here. I believe Jared's holding the camera.
I filmed this one, and you can't see it, but I'm just looking
You're talking into his phone, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I am talking into my phone, and cast members were noticing it because I didn't want to pay for that hat. And basically,
I'm just looking around please, nobody see us.
Yeah, but that was, I think, when we were still afraid that they might kick us out or something. And this bit about this ride was such a nothing ride when the park first opened. The Discovery River boats was
literally nothing.
I think people were expecting a Jungle Cruise type experience, and it was literally just a ferry boat around the thing that took you to a different section of the park. And it closed within less than 2. It was the superstar limo of Animal Kingdom, but without the effort.
Except it wasn't so
Superstar
much
Limo had
blatantly
some
offensive.
slight.
Superstar Limo did have effort. It was just misplaced effort.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I enjoy this Some Jerk episode so much is that it doubles as an Animal Kingdom review.
It kind of
Yeah.
does.
Day one Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may or may not do a full-blown Animal Kingdom retrospective someday. I honestly haven't decided yet. And if I do, consider that sort of a tonal sneak preview of it.
You talk about the lack of fantasy in Animal Kingdom, which
Yeah.
is kind of being rectified with Avatar.
Well, at the very least, they're
No, I'm sure it'll be
genre
nice, but
adjacent,
I mean,
fantasy.
yeah, technically it's gonna be Fantastic Animals now of James Cameron's, but I would have,
still
I
sci-fi.
would have preferred Dragons. Damn
Well,
it.
Yes.
as would I have, but on the other hand, my favorite work of James Cameron so far is T2 3D, so
Yeah.
I
By the
trust
way-
him with theme parks more than I trust him with movies.
Speaking of Terminator, they announced he's rebooting that last night.
Yeah,
That's right.
But-
They
but
announced
we're
that
watching-
however blah 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 ago.
But we're watching the Sabrina episode now, Jared, so let's stay on topic. So,
So this is the bit we talked about in the last commentary that the bit Outside Indie originally led into.
yeah, and all the ads I'm referencing, I know it just sounds like nonsense when you hear it today.
Yeah.
This is reference to real ads that would play incessantly on Blip at the time.
Look, you kids today watching this don't even remember the last time we celebrated Baconalia.
I think by the time that this episode came out, like these ads had switched to different incessant ads, but they were burrowed into our collective brains.
And this is
Yeah.
where the ad break happened, like midway
Yeah.
through me saying 999. And the reason it's in this location is because there's a map in the background, and there was a map behind Hitler in that shot in Inglourious Bastards. And I feel like the episode... the rain stuff, and this of course is a callback to me kissing money in 30 years of Epcot. The rain stuff is pretty funny right here, because it is just ridiculous that they, I mean, I know you can't control the weather, but the fact that they, I don't know, maybe...
I don't know. It's
Maybe
actually quite Floridian of them to keep shooting regardless of the
I actually
weather.
just
That's
remembered
how
that
they
we.
did it
I just
on,
remembered that we were actually rained out on our first Animal Kingdom shooting day.
It is true!
We
We were! We had to go back another day for it.
We had to go back to Animal Kingdom on a less rainy day. I mean, it rained every day.
It
of
rained
the
a little
shoot.
bit every day, but and this, of course, was us at Magic Kingdom, and I always wrote this into a script as a maybe. Like, if it starts raining while we're shooting, we'll just get this shot. And Florida did not let me down,
Yeah.
like it always does. And I love the El Nino callback, which
Yes.
and coming up, she said some jerk with a blank, so
Yeah,
I
some jerk with
I
a
could
leaf
not
blower.
do this, and I
Yeah,
had to shoot
was
this.
Stephen Brown, the prop guy.
And shot in Morgan's house's backyard. That's Stephen Brown, a prop guy that we know, and we had to shoot it in your backyard because there's no way they would have let me bring a leaf blower into the park.
No.
Not with that attitude.
I just love that on the Patreon.
But we made up the bit with Stephen and having the
The joke-
papers blown out of his hand on the day.
Right. And was he there for a different? No, I think I wanted him there for
Well,
that.
no,
specifically.
it's his leaf blower because
Oh,
ours
that's
didn't
right.
work.
That's
so
right.
I called him and he brought his.
That's right. That's what happened. And this is I think these are legit grievances. I'm not sure the way I went about this was quite right. I'm just gonna say it. I really don't like the song at the end of this. It was kind of, again, I was facing the deadline. I do like the joke about the pausing for a really long time. Even though I do feel a little guilty because it is, I guess, a form of kink shaming. But what are you gonna
No,
do? But
come on.
It's not because they're still teenagers. It's a little.
oh yeah, okay, you're right. That's true.
Even though they're clearly
And
like,
I'm really frustrated. And this shot, I point out in one of the outtakes reels.
Yeah.
There was one take that was almost perfect. There was no one in the background. There was a vehicle ascending Everest, and then right in the middle of it, this woman walked right in front of the camera and
and she
ruined the
even
take.
looked at you.
Yeah, well, no, she looked at the camera and as if to say, like, I'm doing this on purpose. But this song, it was just kind of a last-ditch attempt. It's like, how do I end this on a big note? I gotta do something and then I was like, oh, fine, I'll do a song. Well, what kind of song? Well, I think, like, I turned on the TV and Family Guy was airing the FCC episode. I'll do a parody of that called ABC. Fine, let's do it, and just... go with it, and that resulted. And in all this, which of course I had to shoot in Florida because I had to get the locations right for it.
We shot in front of every ABC logo that's present in Florida.
Exactly, and there's a lot of them, especially in Hollywood studios. And the and I just and it just felt like I put too much effort into this to just cut it or do something else. So it's at the end of the episode, and I have to live with it. So.
Well, as the current ranking expert in the field of song parody, this song is fucking awesome.
Okay.
Yes, I had.
Lukesky.
Yes, indeed.
There's Luke for you.
Listen,
Well,
listen to the.
and I'll just give you my testimonial. Between the time we shot this in 2012 and the time this episode was released in, I think, like early 2014.
It was released on New Year's Day,
New Year's Day
2014.
Between those dates, I got that song stuck in my head a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So I was ready for it to come out
Yes.
with the big musical number.
And I gotta say, speaking of that release, that happened right before MagFest 2014, and it was right in the middle of a big trip I was taking where I was going to Charlie and Haley's wedding one weekend, and then MagFest the next weekend, and then in between I visited some family in Texas, and I was still on my laptop frantically trying to finish this episode before MagFest. You know, and finally I got it done, and I got it up. But I just remember, like, being in airports, you know, working on this thing, and I also remember by the end of it, my shitty laptop had gotten so finicky with it, it had basically become like this psychotic girlfriend who will close and crash if you even look at another program, and it was ridiculous. But and of course, Doctor Strangelove reference and black or white video reference. You got to get those references in. So
References are very important.
I never thanked you for giving Gigi her own credit.
I like to do that. And the shot where I'm going like this and just freezing, I had to run it backwards and forwards because originally it cut immediately to me saying, but there was one more show, which of course I had to cut because that became its own episode, which we will get to tomorrow. So thanks, guys.